Happy Friday to you. My name is Gladys, Gachanja, and this is NTV at 1. Jubilee Party's flag bearer for Kibra parliamentary by-election, that is MacDonald Mariga, will know his fate on whether or not he will be cleared by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Dispute Tribunal Committee to vie for the seat on Monday 16th next week. This is according to IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati. A team of lawyers representing Mariga and other interested parties appeared before the tribunal today. We are now joined by Vincent Tudur, who has been following the happenings in Kibra and, of course, that upcoming by-election next week. Vincent, how is it looking like?
Absolutely. The Dispute Resolution Committee just ended its sitting about an hour ago, after it was presided by IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati, and a number of parties appeared before it. Remember, a team of lawyers representing Jubilee candidate MacDonald Mariga were there, and also a group of interested parties in the case, because MacDonald Mariga is trying to challenge the decision by the returning officer to invalidate his nomination as Jubilee's flag bearer in the upcoming Kibra by-election. And a number of things came up, especially brought up by Mariga's lead lawyer, Elisha Ongoya, who argued that by the time Mariga was appearing before the returning officer as a candidate, he was a registered voter. And he is arguing that the only requirement required for an aspirant to vie at a particular place is to be a registered voter. And he is saying that despite the continuous registration exercise, or the continuous voters registration exercise having been stopped in Kibra constituency, because that is where the by-election was occurring, in other constituencies the continuous voter registration was going on, and therefore Mariga went to Starehe, and that is where he was registered as a voter. Also, something also that came up is that an assistant registration officer from Starehe constituency was present before the committee, and he assured the committee that really it is true that Mariga appeared before him and he was able to be registered as a voter, and even he provided some evidence from the BVR machine showing that really he registered Mariga as a voter. However, other lawyers representing other interested parties in the case argue that Mariga should not be allowed to vie in Kibra, because they're saying by the time he was being registered as a voter, the continuous registration exercise had been stopped, because they are arguing that when the seat was declared vacant and the vacancy gazetted, that is when the continuous voter registration was stopped, and therefore Mariga, they are questioning the legality of registering Mariga as a voter at that time. And one of the accusations that really came up against the returning officer, Beatrice Muli, they're saying that when Muli failed to get Mariga's name in the register, especially the electronic voter register, he should have gone beyond it and try even to find out from Starehe whether really Mariga was a registered voter. But Muli insisted that he used the register that was provided to her by IEBC, and therefore she had to make the decision based on that register. Another thing that also came up is that people were questioning which register did she actually use as the returning officer. Is it that of that was used in 2017, or that had captured the continuous voter registration up to this year of 2019? But that is a question that Muli refused to really expound, saying that the only thing she knows, she relied on a registered, or what you call register of voters that was provided by IEBC. And therefore, this is something that is going on, and the committee has decided that they are going to decide the fate of Mariga next week on Monday 16th. And therefore, these are some of the issues that really came up today during the sitting in the morning. Here it is.
Presenting his national identity card, the returning officer and the ICT team, we used the KIMS to verify if the aspirant is a registered voter in line with the legal requirements. All other aspirants were treated the same way. However, the details of the aspirant MacDonald Mariga Wanyama could not be found in the provided register of voters. And that is why we say it in the KIMS. And the search in the KIMS was repeated severally to avoid any doubt. Unfortunately, no details for MacDonald Mariga Wanyama were found.
The complainant is indeed a register. He was registered on 26th of August 2019 as a voter in a Karioko social hall. Correct? Now, this was 12 days after voter registration process was suspended. So, was this purported registration legal?
The complainant is a holder of an acknowledgement slip, which is attached as the first annexure to the affidavit sworn on 11th September 2019, issued by the IEBC. He's a holder of that slip. He was a holder of that slip as at the time he presented his nomination papers to the respondent. It follows from that rule, therefore, that presentation of the slip is prima facie evidence of registration as a voter.
Those are proceedings earlier on from the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Dispute Tribunal Committee, where Donald Mariga, or rather MacDonald Mariga, moved to see and appeal the fate that was handed to him by the REBC, telling him he could not vie for the by-elections that are coming up on November 7th in Kibra constituency. And there are his lawyers and, of course, even the tribunal speaking on the same matters. Vincent Odur will be giving us a more comprehensive brief on the same in our subsequent bulletins. To other day stories, and tension is high in Msanzini village in Tana Delta sub-county after 4 people were allegedly shot dead and their bodies partially burnt on Wednesday night. Residents protested and blocked the roads, demanding for immediate interdiction of those behind the attack. According to a witness, men dressed in police uniforms ambushed the victims and demanded that they surrender their guns before shooting them and setting their bodies ablaze. Kevin Mutai with more.
Police officers had to shoot in the air to disperse rowdy residents in Tana Delta who had blocked the road along Garsen-Hola Highway, protesting the murder of 4 people in the area by unknown men whom they claim identified themselves as police officers. According to a witness, the armed men took the victims hostage, killed them, and then set their bodies on fire.
Wakati wamefungua, wakasema sisi ni afisa wa polisi. Shino wakasema nipatie sijui ni arrest warrant. Akaambiwa sisi kitu tunataka, yeye anaambiwa nao maaskari. Wamevaa bulletproof, wako na bunduki kubwa, mwingine yuko na pistol, wamejifunika kama ninja hivi. Wamejifunika kama ninja. Wakamuuliza Shino, lete bunduki. Sisi hatuwezi toka Nairobi kwa sababu yako. Lete bunduki.
Residents described the crime as inhuman and barbaric and appealed to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and other security agencies to probe the incident and arrest the perpetrators.
Tana River kuna mambo isiyoeleweka inaendelea na tunaomba tafadhali mukae macho. Tumetumia Tana River Peace muda mrefu. Tuko na peace ya miaka 7 sasa. Lakini Tana River of late kuna panda shuka hazieleweki.
Hakuna mtu mwingine ametoka nje. Hakuna mjambazi amekuja hapa akadhuru hao vijana wetu. Ni watu wa hapa.
National Government Security Commissioner of Police tulete investigation saidi ibatikane tokeo hii kitu gani iliua vijana wetu.
Those killed have been identified as a businessman Mustafa Ali Gure, alias China, his brother Hussein Ali Gure, and 2 truck drivers, Ibrahim Yaro and Isaac Mohammed. Yaro was transporting goods from Garissa to Mombasa, while Isaac was en route to Mandera from Mombasa.
Si jambazi atakuja tu kutoka kwake aje hapa msituni, aje uwe mtu ambaye yuko innocent. Alafu hao madereva wenye wameuawa pamoja ni watu walikuwa kwa masafari zao. Waliingia kibahati mbaya. Lakini lengo ilikuwa ni hii mji kidogo. Naomba serikali ifuatilie hii kitu imeiva wapi, imetoka wapi na nani alikuwa amepanga.
We shall work expeditiously, professionally, impartially and without fear or favor to ensure we come to the root cause of this problem. We must unmask who are the persons behind this particular problem.
According to witnesses, the attackers had locked down the area until 4 o'clock in the morning, threatening to shoot anyone who tried to alarm. They even rounded up some people and locked them inside a vehicle until dawn, when they disappeared into the jungle after executing their mission. The Deputy President's convoy was also caught up in the drama, and more security officers were deployed to quell the tension. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
To health matters now, Kenya is now the third African country to roll out the malaria vaccine aimed at protecting young children against malaria. Health CS Cicely Kariuki has led the launch in Homa Bay County, which is among the 8 counties in Kenya where the 4-dose vaccine will be included in the routine vaccination program. Others are Bungoma, Busia, Kakamega, Kisumu, Vihiga, Siaya and Migori counties. Now, malaria is one of the top leading causes of illness and even death. And Bernard Ojwang now joins us from Homa Bay. What is exactly going on as we speak, and also why the importance of launching this in Homa Bay?
Actually, Gladys, this is what's currently going on here. That is the launch of the vaccination, malaria vaccination here in Homa Bay County and Viwa sub-county. And remember, when you talk of malaria, this is a disease that has claimed many lives. And of course, Homa Bay County is one of the counties that have really suffered due to this disease. And currently, without wasting time, I'm going to talk to Homa Bay County CC in charge of health. Just tell us the state of malaria in this county. Join me here. Could you just please tell us the state of malaria in the county?
Thank you very much. This is Professor Richard Muga, the CEC for Health in Homa Bay. We want to say that malaria is the leading killer of children and also pregnant women in the Homa Bay County and other parts of Kenya. We want to say that the introduction of this vaccine is another milestone that we are getting to fight malaria, besides the use of insecticide-treated nets and also chemotherapy that we give those who are sick with malaria. Today we have the CS, Madam Cicely Kariuki, to launch this vaccine. And we have WHO, and we have pact, and we have many partners who have come here. And in Homa Bay, we are very grateful to say that this is going to help us to save women, children, and all those who contract malaria.
What's the state of malaria in Homa Bay County?
Malaria is responsible for the 30% burden of disease, communicable diseases in Homa Bay. So if you went into a ward, you would find about 30% of patients in the ward admitted with malaria.
Measures you put in place to ensure that you are curbing this disease?
Introduction of vaccine is one of the interventions, but already we have insecticide-treated nets. We also have indoor residual spraying, which we carry out to be able to fight malaria, which is a major killer of most of our children. And for us, we owe this to the whole world community for having done research and introducing a vaccine that eventually will help us to wipe out malaria.
Well, thank you very much, Waziri. Gladys, I was speaking to the CC in charge of Health Homa Bay County. Remember, it is a launch that is expected to cover 8 counties, that is Homa Bay, Migori, Homa Bay, Busia, and others. And of course, remember, we'll be here to cover these for a subsequent bulletin. Back to you.
Thank you, Bernard Ojwang, speaking to us from Thiwa in Homa Bay County. Definitely such great news, even as the malaria vaccine is rolled out. Remember, this will be a 4-dose vaccine, and as he rightfully mentioned, other counties that will be benefiting from this are Bungoma, Busia, Kakamega, Kisumu, Vihiga, Siaya, and Migori counties. Now to security matters. The conflicts between the Turkana, Pokot, and Karamoja communities in Kenya and Uganda could be a thing of the past after President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Ugandan counterpart, that is Yoweri Museveni, witnessed the signing of a peace pact between the communities. Kenyatta and Museveni shook hands at Naitakwai playgrounds in Moroto, in the Ugandan side of the border, after witnessing the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding for Cross-Border Peace and Development. The agreement was signed following dialogue between the two countries after years of fighting among the communities that live on the border of Kenya and Uganda Uganda, and Devolution Cabinet Secretary, that is Eugene Wamalwa, and Uganda's Minister for Karamoja Affairs, John, signed the agreement in front of the two leaders and hundreds of top government officials.
We have reached this moment we are at today. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Wakati mlikubali kurudisha bunduki, watu wamezaa watoto wamekuwa bila kuwa chakula ya risasi.
Tunataka tuhakikishe ya kwamba tumeondoa hii mipaka ambaye sio yetu, na ndio wananchi wetu waweze kutembea na mifugo yao kutoka kona moja, watoke kule West Pokot chini wakuje mpaka hapa.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has given a status report on issues that it has given top priority over the last year, stating that currently it is mobilizing all its resources towards ensuring that Kenya captures the UN Security Council seat in the 2021-2022 year. CS Monica Juma has also spoken about the maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia, insisting that despite a court case set for November, the best way to get a peaceful solution is via sitting.
And we are cognizant that this matter is before the ICJ. We believe in Nairobi very strongly that a mutually acceptable and sustainable solution can be found through negotiated settlement of the dispute. Kenya has already reached out to Somalia to seek to give traction to the resolution of the AU Peace and Security Council. And we hope that our sisterly country will be amenable and cooperative in this endeavor. In our view, it would be irresponsible on the part of any of us not to take all measures that insulate us from any further vulnerabilities in already a very fragile environment.
Away from that, a family in Rongo has refused to lay to rest the body of their son until the cause of his death is determined. The family claims that their son died a day after reporting to school in unclear circumstances, as Nayoma Sampao reports.
The family of Frederick, a Form 1 student at Isebania Boys High School in Migori County, is seeking to find answers from the school administration after their son died in unclear circumstances. According to the family, Frederick left home and got to school safe and sound, only for them to receive news of his certain demise a day later. The family is pointing a finger at the school administration for taking him to the mortuary and even sanctioning a post-mortem without consulting them.
Akapata mtoto amekufa, tayari amekufa, amepasuliwa, amekewa formalin. Hatujui mbona alikewa formalin before mama afike.
Tunaomba tu serikali ingilie katikati cause enyewe kijana kwa mgonjwa. I talked to the boy, akaniambia alikuwa tu sawa, nikamfanyia shopping akaenda shule. Tukaongea that Wednesday akienda shule. Akaniambia anatoka sasa anaenda shule.
The principal of the school, however, says that the student collapsed and that several attempts to reach the mother were made unsuccessfully before the body was moved.
The boy reported on Wednesday to school. The following day, that is Thursday, everything was okay. He went to class. As they were going on with the maths lesson, there was a demonstration going on. The boy collapsed.
The family has vowed not to bury Frederick until the school comes clean on what really killed him. Nayoma Sampao, NTV.
Well, it's more than 100 years now since the famous World War I broke out in 1914, where many lives were lost. What many Kenyans might not know is that Taita Taveta is where much of the war between British and German forces in Africa took place. Today, the county is a tourist attraction as visitors come to honor the lives of those who died in the war.
The year is 1914, and the world powers were engaged in a war, World War I. Two states brought war to Africa, Taita Taveta to be specific. Here, Germany and England fought. The first gunshot was fired on 15th August 1914 around town of Taveta before the fight spread to Taita Hill, Maktau, Mwashoti Fort and Kasigao. The history is not well known to many Kenyans, and one historian, William Wadilo, seeks to change that. In 2010, he began gathering used and unused bullets, cannons, letters and truck chassis used during the war. The artifacts now form part of World War Museum located at Sarova Taita Hills in Southwest National Park.
We heard of people coming to commemorate their own in our country, and we are not able to commemorate our own who actually died here. This is a rich history, and we need to do more. And doing more is the county government and the government itself to come in full force to make sure we create awareness.
Last year, a plaque was erected at Mwashoti Fort area to honor African men who died in the war. Another plaque honoring an Australian soldier who died in the battle at Maktau on 3rd of November 1915 has also been set up.
I think what this is about is the honoring of an individual who was in a foreign land, and he was in command of soldiers who were not of his ethnic group, and he felt a responsibility to do what he knew was the right thing to do, and that was to stay with them and give them hope.
Taita Taveta is home of most important battlefields in East Africa, and this year is just one of the structures that are set down to commemorate the African porters and soldiers who lose their life in the war. The area, which widely known for its wild animals, now has different kind of attraction, which is very popular with visitors. Bilutieno, NTV, Taita Taveta.
Despite tough economic times, Kenyans have bought more houses this year compared to the last 2 years. However, Kenyans are preferring cheaper houses of 5 million shillings and below. These are some of the things that have come up at the 254 Realty and Homes Expo that Nation Media Group is hosting at the KICC. The event brings together exhibitors and solution providers from various parts of the country.
We've sold more houses this year than the previous 2 years combined. But we are seeing a skew that the lower end houses, the truly affordable houses, have a much higher demand than the upmarket houses. So you seem to have a soft demand on the upper end of the market, but on the lower end of the market, actually there is demand. If you look at prices of anything between, say, for instance, 3 million to about 5-6 million, you are actually seeing quite a bit of demand.
We try to promote local. It's a bit more expensive, so I think there's room for, as the government is trying to create affordable homes, there's room for them to also see how they can incentivize the local manufacturers to be able to sell, to us at a better rate, perhaps from a tax perspective.
Across the borders, and nearly 6 months after the crash of Ethiopian Airlines flight ET302, the families of the 32 Kenyans who perished aboard the flight will finally have closure, as the bodies of the victims have all been identified. Now, through DNA materials and fingerprints collected from the families, Interpol's incident response team was able to successfully identify the bodies of the 149 passengers and 8 crew members of the ill-fated flight. Nearly 100 disaster victim identification experts from 14 countries in Africa, the Americas and Europe assisted in the 50-day identification mission. The Boeing 737 MAX flight bound for Nairobi crashed near the Ethiopian town of Bishoftu, with preliminary investigations attributing the March 10th crash to flight control software. Sean Cadavillas now joins us with the latest from the sporting world.
Thank you very much, Gladys. Very good afternoon to you. We'll go to the latest from the World Championships in just a moment. But first of all, the Malkia strikers have been in training in the city of Hamamatsu in Japan, the venue of their volleyball World Cup matches. Paul Bitok's ladies are fresh from defending their African Games title in Rabat, Morocco. and are grouped together with the USA, Brazil, Argentina and defending champion Serbia. Kenya lost to the USA and Serbia during the last edition and also succumbed to the Netherlands during the Intercontinental Olympic qualifiers in Italy last month. Kenya recorded only 2 wins against Peru and their African counterparts Algeria to finish 10th out of 12 participating teams in the last World Cup. Kenya opened their campaign against the USA on Saturday and played the Netherlands on Sunday. The video assistant referee failed to overturn 4 incorrect decisions during the first 4 rounds of the Premier League matches this season. During those rounds, there were 227 incidents involving goals, red card offences, as well as